be my mama? Oh, sweet child.
She's been waiting to ask you that.
The train whistle screamed through the cold morning air as Clara Whitmore clutched the small leather valise in her trembling hands. Everything she owned was inside that bag: 2 dresses, a worn Bible, and the last letter her father had ever written to her before fever claimed his life. At 22 years old, Clara had never stepped beyond the narrow streets of Boston. She had never belonged to a man. She had never even been kissed, but she had signed her name in careful ink beneath an advertisement placed by a widowed rancher from Montana Territory who needed a wife. Her hands shook not from the cold, but from fear. What if he was cruel? What if he expected things she wasn't ready to give? The word virgin echoed in her mind like a secret she carried like a fragile glass ornament. She had protected that part of herself her entire life. Now she was traveling across the country to marry a stranger. The train slowed as snow. Covered plains stretched endlessly outside the window. The land looked harsh and unwelcoming. Nothing like home. No cobblestones, no church bells, no familiar faces, only wilderness. When the conductor called out the tiny town's name, Clara swallowed hard and stood. The platform was nearly empty. Just wind and one man. He was tall, broad shoulders, dark hat pulled low over steady eyes, a cowboy, not the rough, laughing kind she had seen in dime novels, but quiet, still watchful. He did not smile. "Miss Whitmore?" he asked, voice deep and calm. She nodded. "I'm Daniel Carter, her husband." The word struck her chest like thunder. He reached for her valise. His hands were large but careful, as if he feared breaking something delicate. That small kindness eased her breathing, just a little. The ride to the ranch was silent except for the crunch of wheels over snow. The land rolled wide and lonely. Clara's heart pounded louder with every mile. Was she making the biggest mistake of her life? Then they pulled up to a ranch house, modest but sturdy, warm lamplight glowing from inside. Before Daniel could help her down, the front door burst open. A small girl ran out, dark curls wild in the wind, pink scarf trailing behind her. "Papa!" she cried. She stopped short when she saw Clara. Big blue eyes blinked up at her, and then the child whispered softly, "Are you my new mama?" Clara's breath caught in her throat. The little girl's name was Lily. She was 6 years old and heartbreakingly hopeful. Clara learned that Lily's mother had died 2 winters ago from pneumonia. Since then, Daniel had raised her alone, helped by neighbors when they could. The mail-order bride arrangement had not been Daniel's idea. It had been the town preacher's suggestion. "A little girl needs a mother," he had written in his letter to Clara. That night, Clara unpacked in the small bedroom Daniel had prepared. She noticed immediately that it was separate from his. He had placed fresh flowers in a jar on the dresser. He had stitched curtains over the window himself, poorly, but with effort, and the bed had a thick quilt folded neatly at the edge. He did not touch her, did not demand anything, did not even linger at her door. "If you need anything," he said quietly, "I'll be in the next room." Clara lay awake long after the house went silent. She had expected pressure, acclaim, a rough hand asserting rights. Instead, there was distance, respect, and somehow that frightened her more. The next morning, Lily appeared at Clara's door before sunrise. "Do you know how to braid hair?" she asked seriously. Clara blinked.
"Yes,"
she answered softly. Lily climbed up onto the bed with a brush and sat between Clara's knees without hesitation. Her curls were tangled from sleep. As Clara's gentle fingers worked through the knots, Lily began talking. About her wooden horse. About how Papa makes terrible pancakes. About how sometimes she misses her mama so much it feels like a rock in her chest. Clara's hands paused. "I miss my mama too," Lily said quietly. "But Papa says God sometimes sends new mamas when little girls need them most." Clara swallowed hard. No one had needed her before, and something warm flickered inside her guarded heart. Later that day, she found Daniel chopping wood. His sleeves were rolled up, muscles moving with controlled strength. "You didn't have to braid her hair," he said without looking up. "I wanted to." He stopped, finally meeting her gaze. "She talks about you already?" he admitted. "Hasn't stopped." A hint of a smile touched his mouth, and for the first time, Clara felt the smallest crack in her wall of terror. The first week passed with unexpected gentleness. Daniel never forced closeness. They shared meals, shared quiet conversations about the ranch. At night, he stayed in his own room. But Lily attached herself to Clara like spring sunshine breaking through winter. She insisted Clara sit beside her during supper. She tugged her hand when showing off chickens. She fell asleep one afternoon, curled against Clara's side while they read from the Bible. And when Clara lifted the child carefully and carried her to bed, something inside her shifted in a way she didn't fully understand. Fear began losing ground to tenderness. One evening a blizzard rolled in without warning. The wind howled. Snow battered the windows violently. Lily woke screaming from a nightmare. Clara rushed to her room. The little girl was shaking, tears soaking her pillow. "Mama used to sing," Lily sobbed, "when storms came." Clara hesitated only a moment before climbing into the small bed beside her. She sang the lullaby her own mother once sang in Boston. Her voice trembled at first, then steadied. Lily's breathing slowed. Tiny fingers curled into Clara's dress. "Don't go," the child whispered. "I won't," Clara promised. At the doorway, Daniel stood silently watching. And for the first time since arriving in Montana, Clara did not feel like a stranger in the house. The storm raged outside, but inside warmth gathered. Later that night, when Clara stepped into the hallway, Daniel was still there. "She hasn't slept through a storm since her mother passed," he said quietly. Clara nodded. "I was terrified to come here," she admitted suddenly. "I didn't know what kind of man you were." Daniel's jaw tightened slightly, not in anger, but hurt. "I gave my word in that letter," he said. "I would never take what isn't freely given." His eyes held hers in steady sincerity. "I wanted a partner, not a possession." Something inside Clara broke open entirely then. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't a threat. He was a lonely father trying to do right by his child. And in the quiet glow of lamplight, as snow softened the world outside, Clara realized something astonishing. She wasn't afraid anymore, because somewhere between a child's innocent question and a cowboy's quiet honor, her heart had begun to choose them. Spring began melting the last of the snow, and with it, the final remnants of Clara's fear. The ranch no longer felt like a foreign place. It felt lived in, warm, touched by laughter. Lily's laughter. Weeks had passed since the night of the storm. Clara now rose before sunrise to help with breakfast. She had learned how to gather eggs without flinching when the hens squawked. She burned fewer biscuits each morning. Daniel still pretended not to notice when she did. Their marriage, though legal on paper, remained gentle and untouched. Daniel never stepped beyond respect. Not once did he pressure her, and that quiet patience spoke louder than any vow. But Clara sensed something building between them, unspoken, fragile, growing roots beneath the surface. One golden afternoon, Clara found Lily sitting beneath the big oak tree near the barn, hugging her knees tightly. Her bright chatter was gone. "Lily?" Clara asked softly. The child looked up. Her eyes were red. "Mrs. Thompson said something today," Lily whispered. Clara knelt beside her. "What did she say, sweetheart?" "She said male order brides don't stay." Her small lip trembled. "She said sometimes they leave when ranch life gets too hard." Clara's heart dropped. "I don't want you to leave," Lily said suddenly, launching herself into Clara's arms. "Please don't go. I'll be good. I promise I'll be very, very good." "Oh, Lily," Clara murmured, holding her tightly. "This isn't about you being good. Then what is it about?" Clara didn't have an answer. That night, Daniel noticed Clara's silence at dinner. After Lily went to bed, he spoke carefully. "She hears more than we think," he said quietly. Clara nodded. "Do you plan to leave?" he asked, not accusing, just honest. The question sat between them like fragile glass. Clara had never planned beyond survival. She had come west for security, not love. She had expected hardship, not tenderness. "I don't know," she admitted. Daniel looked toward Lily's closed bedroom door. "I won't keep you here against your will," he said. "But if you stay, don't stay halfway."